Hello and welcome to week 3 of LIBS 301. This week we will be looking at the first section of the acknowledgement step. So for this week, for our to-do list, we have our required materials of our week 3 instructor video, our APA 7th in minutes. There are 3 videos. Here we have our scholarly journals article, the websites and the books videos, as well as the how to avoid plagiarism in 5 easy steps article. We also have some supplemental materials. So we have our APA Referencing Made Easy video, our plagiarism, so looking at 6 different types of plagiarism to avoid video, and how to avoid plagiarism in academic writing specifically. For our assignments, we do have our APA Citations and Plagiarism quiz, as well as our APA Citations Where Are You At post. Also, this is the first week that we will be looking at our APA Style Guide. So I have provided links for these online materials. So we have our plagiarism, basic principles of reference list entries, our elements of reference list entries, missing reference information, reference examples, so journal articles, up-to-date articles, as well as reports by government agencies, and DOIs and URLs. Now, the number that is listed in the parenthesis corresponds to the section of the physical publication manual if you chose to purchase that manual. So again, all of these are available both online or you can reference your physical manual. So let's jump into our information literacy concept. So last week we talked about the identify step, which is the top and first step. Now we're looking at our acknowledge step. So when you think of information literacy, it's not necessarily linear, but it does kind of rotate around. And the acknowledgement step, I think, kind of connects to all of the different areas as we go through. So I think it's really important to learn how to create our citations before we really dive into our research process. So again, acknowledging is crediting that original source of information. And as you can see with our assignments, we will be coming back to this step again and again as we move through our 8 weeks. So APA citations. Why do we cite our sources? So first, it makes your work more credible. It tells the reader where you found your information, and it allows them to learn more by beginning with your sources. It also gives credit to the people whose words and ideas that you are using and building upon. And finally, it protects you from plagiarizing. So citing your sources gives you that credibility, it acknowledges your original sources, and it makes sure that you aren't stealing someone else's work. So plagiarism. What is it and what falls under it? So direct plagiarism is a word-for-word transcription of a section of someone's work without attribution or quotation marks. This is when you copy and paste and just whack it into your assignment. Self-plagiarism is when you're using your own previous work or mixing parts of your previous works without acknowledging that it is from a previous assignment and giving credit to yourself. So this would be taking a paper that you've already done in a past course and just reworking it just enough to submit it for this course. That would be self-plagiarism. Now, mosaic plagiarism is borrowing phrases from a source without quotation marks or kind of using synonyms while keeping the same general structure and meaning of the original course. So what this most likely happens and often happens is you are reading a really good article online. You're going, yes, I want to use this, but I want to paraphrase it a little bit. And instead of closing out that original document, you're kind of typing and trying to change a few words here or there. That is still mosaic plagiarizing because you aren't changing enough of it. The best way to get around this and making sure you aren't plagiarizing is to read the material, close it away so you aren't looking at it, and then write your thoughts on that topic, what was covered, what that information was provided. That's a great way of making sure you aren't accidentally plagiarizing, which leads into our accidental plagiarizing. So this is where we are forgetting to cite a source, we're misquoting a source, we're making our accidents. So this is one that we just want to be careful of making sure we are working through the process, we're giving credit where credit is due. And by learning citations early on in the process, we can really help to alleviate by these accidental plagiarisms. Now, DOI numbers. These are a love-hate relationship for a lot of students as we are working through our citations. They're really important, but they can be tricky, so I did want to cover these. So a DOI is a digital object identifier, and they were invented to give electronic or digital items a unique and persistent identifier. Think of these as like your ISBN numbers. So not every article though has a DOI number. So that is kind of a confusion as you guys are walking and working through with the materials. So older materials might not always have our DOI number, and then materials that haven't fully gone through the publishing process might also not have that identifying number. So what do DOIs look like? So all DOIs start with the number 10 followed by a period and then identifying information about the source. As you can see here, we have 10.1515, a backslash, COMMUN, which is probably the first chunk of the publication, and then some numbers and additional dates and information that tells you where within that source this material is. So how are these going to be formatted within a citation? So in your citation, you will have your HTTPS, your colon, 2 backslashes, doi.org, another backslash, and then that identifying number. So this is kind of where we run into kind of some issues as you guys are submitting your citations. When I'm looking at these, I will help you and correct these and give you kind of pointers. Points will not be taken off if you have messed up your formatting on your DOI, but if you are missing your DOI, points will be taken off for those assignments. So do though watch out for DOIs with the university information. So some databases add this in, so you need to remove the extra information. This would be that briarcliff.edu chunk kind of right after the HTTPS. You would need to remove that and just have the doi.org and forward. So for this week, for our materials to look through, we have our week 3 instructor video, our APA 7th in minutes, so our scholarly journals, articles, our websites, and the books videos, as well as the How to Avoid Plagiarism in 5 Easy Steps articles. For our non-required materials, we do have some APA referencing made easy videos, our plagiarism, our 6 different types video, as well as the How to Avoid Plagiarism in Academic Writing. From the APA Style Guide, again, we have our plagiarism section, our basic principles of reference list entries, as well as the elements of a reference list entries, our missing reference information, reference examples, which include our journal articles, up-to-date articles, and reports by government agencies, and then our DOI and URL information. Again, the numbers in the parentheses corresponds with the section of the physical manual. So if you're using the physical manual, you can reference those in these following sections, or you can follow the links provided online. For our assignments for this week, we do have our citations and plagiarism quiz, which is due on Thursday. And then we have our APA citations, where are you at post? So here we're going to describe your experience, confidence, and concerns surrounding APA citations, and make sure you're responding to 2 of your classmates. That initial post is going to be due on Thursday, and respond to your classmates by Sunday. If you have any questions, please make sure you reach out either by email or by setting up a one-on-one meeting. I look forward to seeing where you guys are with your APA citations, how confident or unconfident you are, either one is perfectly fine, and kind of where we'll be going forward as we work through our citations. Have a great week, and I will see you next week.